You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit GearHandle.com and use promo code H2O today. This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. Central Texas Life with Ann Harder presents Central Texas Events.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Events, and we're talking about something that should be Central Texas season, because this is a season of giving for the United Way of Waco, and it is so wonderful to have Wendy Ellis, who's CEO, and Allen Holt, who is Resource Development Director, and the United Way, 100 years.
100 years.
Here in Central Texas. What an amazing organization. And we were talking about this before we got started, about the wonderful event last spring, right?
It was.
100th anniversary.
Yes.
And it was so inspiring. I was so happy I was able to be there.
We were happy you were there too, and we were encouraged and uplifted by everyone who attended and participated, and there does seem to be such a great synergy coming out of that event.
Yeah.
And when you know, as an organization, you're 100 years old, there's obviously kind of some ebbs and flows, and we feel like we're in a very positive time of movement and change and growth, and so we're looking forward to what this season will bring.
Well, so this is the kind of the kickoff of Labor Day, September 1st.
Right.
You know,
That's
that was the kickoff, and it goes on for several months. So let's talk about how all that works.
So United Way, we are, we're a philanthropy organization, and we're primarily known for the grants that we provide to local nonprofits in the area. We help support about 45 different local nonprofit organizations that are eligible to receive funding from us, either through designations or through a competitive grant process. And all of those organizations are working to help the residents of McLennan County improve their health, their education, financial stability, or to provide safety net services in a moment of crisis. And so those are the only areas that we work in. And then that's primarily what United Way is known for. And we've been doing it for 100 years now.
Yeah.
Volunteer-driven organization, and we are unique in how we raise our money and in what we do, because our primary fundraiser every year is through workplace campaigns. Mm-hmm. And so all of the employees at a company will give through payroll deductions or one-time gifts or whatever it is that works best for them. But it's all those small donations, $5, $10, $15, maybe $20 or $50 a paycheck, that come together.
Oh, and it adds up
quickly. And so in our 100-year history, we've been able to put over $100 million back into the community to work in those nonprofits. And so we're proud of that, and we're proud of how many people it takes to make that happen, right? It's a great network. So September 1, Labor Day weekend, always kicks off our campaign season, and our companies run their campaigns at various times throughout the fall and even rolls over into January a little bit. And then campaign season is officially over by the end of January. So all of our companies usually have run their campaign by then. And then we start kind of working towards the next year.
Yeah, that's right. Rinse and repeat, right? Yeah. Ellen, let's talk about development, though. Let's talk a little bit about what you do specifically for the United Way.
Well, fortunately for me, I was able to start the day of the event in March, so I got a big dose right off the bat.
Oh, did you? Oh, well.
But so it's
been
a lot of
time to start.
Yeah, it's been great. But this is the first time I've been on this side of the fence as far as the United Way campaign goes. In my past, I've worked on the company side of things and ran a few campaigns for organizations that I've been with. So this has been really great to be on this part of it and this side of things and see how the community rallies around United Way, and how just the cumulative giving effect, like we just talked about, was just so important and adds up and makes such a great difference in our community.
Well, I know, of course, over the years that I've worked before retirement, I was always so proud to see that little emblem hanging on the wall, and then the year, and we took pride, I think, in the employees getting behind, if they had a pet organization that they like to support, or just to go into the general fund and let you guys decide who needs the funds.
Absolutely, and that's what I love about being part of United Way too, is because it gives everyone an opportunity to participate how they can, when they can, what they're comfortable with, to support things that really matter to them. And United Way is a global organization. There's over 1,800 United Way chapters worldwide. But what's unique about the structure is that each chapter is governed locally with a local board of directors, and we have local volunteers who sit on the committees and make the decisions about how those grant dollars are awarded and what programs they go to have the most impact in our community. And so all the dollars raised here locally stay here local. And so I know that what we're doing directly impacts our friends and neighbors and can be a real help to somebody you may see in the grocery store every day, and you've helped them out and you don't even know it. And so that's what's really special to me about United Way and the work that it does, because we can be what the community wants us to be and what the community needs us to be.
Yeah, and I think it's important, you have the structure for being able to supply that help. I mean, I noticed where the city of Waco is cutting back on what they're able to give to some area nonprofit. I mean, and that can be a significant issue to some of these groups.
I think for every nonprofit, right? Every year it's a question of what and how are you going to continue the resources. I know you recently visited with several of the food pantries in town.
Yes, right.
And the increased needs
the
that they're
need
seeing.
has really skyrocketed.
And so that's United Way is known for meeting those immediate needs, like helping support organizations that are meeting the needs today. But one of the other things that I think is really great about United Way and how it works is that we're meeting today's needs, but we're changing tomorrow's future, right? As we're looking to the future too, and we're kind of visioning like, what can this community be like if these challenges aren't there? And how do we eliminate some of those roadblocks? And we work really hard to be a convener and bring these organizations and community leaders together to kind of come up with those solutions. And so that's something I think of as kind of behind the scenes, I think that United Way does, that people don't always realize, that we're looking at how do we solve these problems and how do we help move or change the trajectory of these lives in this generation and in the next generation. And so when you have 100 years of history to look at, now we're talking about one of the unique things that Allen's brought to the campaign and everything this year too is our Second Century Club. And how do we move into that second century, and what's that going to look like?
Well, let's talk about that, Allen. How do you envision that?
Well, kind of just the idea came to us, and just we were thinking about, obviously we had the 100th year celebration, so as Wendy said, we look to the future and what people can do today is how it's going to affect tomorrow. And so one of the ways that we tried to encompass that idea would be to have everybody has a seat at the table. We generally have been known for having big corporate campaigns, whether it's Caterpillar, whether it's Amazon, whether it's other big national companies. But we want to know that local businesses, local professional organizations, law firms, doctors and stuff have a seat at this table, and individuals too that want to be a part of it. Just a gift to United Way helps make the community better and helps make us all neighbors.
Well, it was easy when I was working. So now that I'm not in the workplace anymore, how can folks help the United Way?
So there's lots of different ways, but what I would encourage first is visit our website. It's unitedwaywaco.org, and there is a link there. You can give directly from the website, like you mentioned earlier, into the general impact, or we have our 4 different areas that I talked about. You can select like general impact, or you can select those areas. You can select specific organizations, and we make sure that those dollars get distributed as requested. So that's number one way. Another way I think that would be really great, and it's something that doesn't cost you anything, is following us on social media. We're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram, and we're on LinkedIn, and we're sharing the stories of these nonprofits in our community.
You're going to learn
absolutely
about how these monies are being spent.
Learn how the monies are spent. Learn what resources are available. So if you have a friend or family member in need, maybe you'll have seen something, and you can be a real advocate for these organizations that are trying to help people in those moments. But, responding and socializing with us, right, on social media and helping spread the word is always really important. And then also from our website, you can sign up to receive our monthly newsletter where you can learn more about what the nonprofits in the community are doing. And each month we have a different theme that talks about whatever it is that's happening that month. Like during the summer, we talked about food insecurity and resources that were available for families with kids at home and things like that. And we talked about back to school and where you can get your vaccinations and, access to medical care and different things like that. So each month has a different theme, and you can kind of learn a little bit more about, some of the challenges that our community faces, but also the problem solvers and how they're being addressed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, such great information for folks. And to have that link through social media to know what's going on.
Yes.
And what some of the needs are. Where do you see things going, say, in the next 5 years? If I could ask you to look in your crystal ball.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
We'll both share and
take a stab at it.
If we're on the same page or not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll add one other thing, though, to the previous comments that Wendy was making, is just that we have a loaned executive program.
Yeah.
So there's businesses and companies in town, or if you've been retired and you want to get involved, that these folks come and meet monthly and help serve as liaisons between different companies and corporations. They're kind of ambassadors for United Way in the community. And so it's a great way to get involved as well. And so Wendy began this program back 2 years ago. This is the third year that we've done it. And we've got 25 or so loan executives, and we'd love to get that up to 50, 75 or so.
That's awesome.
So it's a great program.
Yeah.
Where we are in 5 years. Come on, boss, that's up to you.
What I tell people is obviously not in 5 years. It can't happen in 5 years. But I think the ultimate goal for all of us on staff at United Way is we'd love to work ourselves out of a job.
Isn't that the truth?
Right?
Yeah, like family abuse. I always say, I wish you guys we could just
there
do
wasn't
away
a
with
need,
you.
right? Like
Right,
if there wasn't
right.
a need for us anymore, that would be the
Yeah.
ultimate dream, right? But what we're really focused on right now is we're looking at the quality of life specifically for children ages 0 to 5 and the families that are raising those children.
Right.
And how do you improve the quality of life for those children? Because you can't improve the quality of life for them without improving the quality of life for their parents or their caregivers or whoever it is that's raising them. And so we started a movement. We released a report back in 2021 called Are the Children Well? And it looked at kind of quality of life index for how children 0 to 5 were faring in our community. And we compared it to some data from 2009, and what we found was the needle really hadn't moved very much.
Really?
And so, but we did this a little bit differently because we went out into the community and we really centered the report around the voice of the community and what people living the experience were asking for, or what they were saying were the areas that they needed some help with. And so there were 7 different themes that kind of came out of that report. And so we then took that back to the community and back to systems leaders, and we said, okay, these are the areas that we know people are most concerned about. These are the things they're saying we need change in most urgently. So how do we come up with some solutions? And so through kind of a coalition, we have what we call the McLennan County Child Wellbeing Movement. And we've got probably 40 different organizations now that are meeting regularly and in work groups, and they're addressing the strategies that were put down on paper as part of this child wellbeing plan. There's 111 different strategies. And when we say it's a child wellbeing plan, we think about, okay, what's important to children? So childcare and early learning immediately you think about. But what I like to say is this plan focuses a lot on the things that adults worry about so children don't have to worry about them, right?
Right.
So affordable housing and workforce development, access to mental health care, access to health care, access to all different types of resources in the community, looking at language accessibility and having things in more than one language for people who may need that as well. And so we're working with those work groups, and we're trying to accomplish as many of those strategies in that plan as possible. But really the idea is that the plan is a guide, and it's a way for local decision makers to have insight into what it is that community members really want and need, are asking for, and are suggesting. And so when we're solving a problem, let's look at this and make sure that we're solving a problem that that we're solving the right problem in the right way, and using that plan as a guide. And so we're seeing things come out of that already. It's early in the process, obviously, and it'll take a long time. 111 strategies is a few.
That's a few, yeah.
But what we're seeing is, like, we have a number of organizations in town. Talitha Coombe is looking at expanding.
Yeah, I thought immediately of Talitha Coombe.
Aren't they great? I just love that organization.
It's amazing. Yeah.
But they were actually looking at expansion, like moving into school-aged kids. And when they saw the report that came out and we talked about what the needs were, they kind of pivoted. And now they're working on a capital campaign to, like, double their capacity for early child
For
care.
the early.
Which is such a needed resource
sure
in the
is.
community. So they used the report and the plan to kind of guide that. Goodwill is in the process of doing, they've purchased a building and they're doing some renovations, and they're going to be opening a child care center. And
really?
Yes, and they're using, in the plan, people ask for, like, drop-off days. Like, it may not be that they need it every day of the week, but they need to be able to drop
some
off.
Little respite.
Yes, or
area.
extended hours, because if you work shift work, you can't necessarily, pick up by 5 or 6 o'clock. And so sometimes you may need till 7, or weekend care. And so they're using the things that people ask for in that plan as they put their programming together to try to, meet as many of those needs as they can. And then some other organizations in town that are doing the same thing, looking at opening up child care centers and kind of focusing the programming on what's being asked for in the plan, so that they know they're meeting the needs of the people out there. And so that's what I see for the next 5 years, is a continuation of that, checking those things off, those strategies, making more opportunities available, and kind of, as we work our way into this second century, really starting to move that needle and changing the trajectory for people.
So much great work, so much groundwork has been laid the first 100 years, and now, as you say, moving into the second century. A lot of work to be done, but you've got a plan. That's exciting.
We do. We have a plan. We have a great team in place right now, and we're always looking to add to the team, and that's what the campaign season is all about, right? Is I tell everybody, I don't want to be preaching to the choir. I want to be recruiting for the choir. So
Okay, there
come
you go.
on in, and this is our recruitment season. This is our time for everybody to kind of get on board and be part of those solutions. And just, I say there's not a lot of things you can do with your money today that's still going to be having an impact after you're gone.
Right.
And giving to United Way and working with our local nonprofits on solving some of these problems and improving our community is just it's a simple way to be part of something much bigger than yourself.
Well said. I mean, that's beautiful to put it that way. And so again, the season is now. Kickoff has happened. This will run through the end of the year. And at your workplace, be generous.
That's right.
Jump right in and be a part of your own particular campaign at work. Or if not, how again can folks learn more about the United Way, Alan?
I think the best way is, we mentioned earlier, just the website and everything. We've got we're putting in the process of a lot of rebranding and a lot of redoing of social media and website type information. So within the next couple of months, we're going to have a lot more information on there about ways to get involved, ways to communicate with us and us to communicate with you, and just ways to help all be in one big neighborhood, basically.
That's good. So stay tuned, as
Stay
they
tuned.
say.
Absolutely.
Oh, Wendy, thank you. Alan, thank you so much for all you're doing for United Way Waco, and you all, your generosity, it means the world.
Absolutely.
To so many of these agencies, and really to our neighbors and friends.
Friends and neighbors. That's what I tell everybody. It's football season. It's dove season.
Oh yeah, I heard the sound. They're dove hunting in the
and
neighborhood.
United Way season is just as Texan as that, because it's all about helping your friends and neighbors,
It
and
is.
that's part of our Texas hospitality.
Absolutely, and now is the time. Thank you both so much. Thank you for being with us for Central Texas Events. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.